Borneo's orangutans are among the world's most endangered great apes, but their home is shrinking.
My parents still remember the old forest. Now the forest no longer exists.
Palm oil plantations are threatening the ecosystem, while large companies reap the profits.
We didn't clear the forest, but we're the ones suffering the consequences.
Is there a way to balance nature and economic growth? And what future remains for Borneo's orangutans? Entering the Tanjung Puting National Park. I'm traveling with Jeffrey Wonder, who grew up in this part of Borneo. For 3 days, he will guide me deep into the jungle.
This feels like home to me. So after I graduated from my study in Java, I decided to come back here. I enjoy this job. This is my office, my lovely office.
His office covers around 4,000 square kilometers and includes several different ecosystems. The national park lies in southern Borneo, in Kalimantan, a region that belongs to Indonesia. Alongside the island of Sumatra, Borneo is the last remaining home of the orangutans. The national park is one of their most important habitats. Suddenly, movement on the riverbank. My first wild orangutan. This young male has come down to feed on fresh shoots. The forest provides exactly the kind of environment they need, and the orangutans help keep the forest alive.
The orangutan are known as the farmer of the forest. You know, they eat the fruit with all the seed. They help to spread the seedling. So it's very important for the nature, for the ecosystem.
The problem is, the same forest that is good for orangutans is also valuable to humans, for timber, plantations, mining and settlements. Studies show that the rainforest on the Indonesian part of Borneo has been disappearing particularly fast. This analysis by Forest Watch Indonesia shows that the country has lost millions of hectares of forest and the deforestation goes on, with Kalimantan, this part of Borneo where we are now, accounting for the largest share in forest loss. Jeffrey doesn't only know the forest, he also knows what its destruction looks like. He's Dayak, part of one of Kalimantan's indigenous communities.
My parents still remember the old forest, the primary forest. Yeah, so because we lived there like for a long time, and we spent a lot of time like playing in the jungle. My dad hunting for the boar and deer with all the men in the village back then. So yeah, but it changed a lot in the last like a few decades. Now the forest no longer exists. It converted into palm tree already.
The next day, I take a speedboat further upstream. We have been told about a recent deforestation site outside the national park. A group of local farmers invited us to see their struggle against a big palm oil corporation. One of them is Handi Firdaus. He says the company has continued to cut trees here even after their license for this area was revoked by the state last year. Now he's concerned about landslides in his village further downhill.
We don't want to become victims. We're the indigenous people of this land. We didn't clear the forest, but we're the ones suffering the consequences. The companies and their bosses live comfortably in Jakarta, while we're the ones who feel the real impact. The people here actually want to protect our forest.
Indonesia sharply reduced deforestation after the mid-2010s, and the current forest ministry insists it isn't neglecting forest protection. But numbers from environmental groups say the trend is worsening again. According to a local think tank focusing on biodiversity, forest loss surged by roughly 2/3 in 2025, the highest level in 8 years.
pengen dikembalikan ke hutan lagi.
We want this land to be restored and turned back into forest. We have plans to do that, even though we're just villagers with limited knowledge. There is forest land upstream along the Mentaya River that we want to protect and preserve.
The next day starts early, and it starts well, with movement again in the trees.
The silver langor. Here, this one right here.
A small group of monkeys is moving through the canopy. But we are looking for big apes. Jeffrey suggests heading into the forest on foot, and it turns out to be our lucky day. A group of orangutans is moving through the trees. Around 20 animals of the roughly 6,000 that still live in the national park. This big male was once released back into the wild after being held in captivity, which is why we can get unusually close. The population here hasn't been counted for several years, but Jeffrey says that inside the park there is hope that numbers are stable or even growing. Females usually have one infant at a time. Young orangutans stay with their mothers for years. That means populations cannot bounce back quickly after forest loss, fire, or capture.
Yeah, poaching used to be a big problem back then because there were people that willing to keep our baby orangutan as a pet at home. So they're willing to spend a lot of money to buy a cute baby orangutan. And also because the female orangutan and the baby, they have a very strong bone. And the only way you separate the mom and the baby just by kill the mom. There's no other way to do that because the mom will never leave the baby alone.
Jeffrey believes education of the local population is key to protecting wildlife here. The impact of deforestation isn't always immediate, so making informed decisions is important.
It's just a complicated thing. It's just hard to make it balance between the economic and then the nature. Yeah, because if you talk about the palm oil, if you see it from the economic perspective, it's good. It helps a lot of people to get job. But on the other hand, if you see it from the environmental perspective, it's bad.
From the air, it becomes clear how bad. Palm oil is efficient and highly profitable, but here in Kalimantan, it often comes at the expense of rainforest.
This is new area. It's like a couple months ago. They are planting the palm oil.
We have stopped at one of the last villages before the deep jungle begins. Ariadi, who lives here, shows me around. Locals say nearby palm oil plantations have affected the rivers people here depend on. Fertilizer, pesticides, and eroded soil wash into the water during heavy rain. This river used to run clear. But the issue is not simple. Palm oil is a lucrative business, and there are few jobs here.
Yeah, of course, for our villagers, didn't have a choice for working. So when a palm oil plantation is coming, they give a promise to us, and we can give a job working for palm oil plantation, and then they are promised to give us electricity too.
Back on the boat, we head to a place that Jeffrey says offers some hope for the forest and the animals that depend on it. We arrive at a place that looks radically different from the lush rainforest.
So this used to be a gold mine here. Yeah. So now also there's an area that burned by fire in 2015. It's more than 14 hectares area get burned by fire back then. And now they have a restoration project, which is so invited a lot of people volunteers to come here to plant the trees. Yeah.
The project is run by private organizations. Without trees, rain has washed many of the nutrients out of the soil. What's left is sandy and dry. Keeping new trees alive here is difficult.
It's a long-term process. It's not instant. Yeah, because again, it depends on the area and depends also what type of tree you planted. Because some of the tree are slow growing and some of them quite fast growing. So you need to choose the right seedling. Yeah.
Jeffrey wants me to choose a tree too. So we visit a small reforestation nursery. There are many seedlings here, but Jeffrey is looking for one in particular.
Fruit bats, the monkeys, and that one right here. So George, this is your tree. It's called nyatu. Nyatu has a fruit. It's like avocado, like mini version of avocado. It's good for the orangutan and all the monkeys.
We pick a spot that has already been prepared. Smaller plants provide some shade. Planting a tree here is easy, they say. Keeping it alive in the soil, though, takes years of care. And restoring a forest can take decades.
Ini tanaman 2017 ini.
This is planted in 2017, you say.
Ini.
As you can see, even though these trees grow relatively fast, they still take time.
Jeffrey tells me that reforestation is good, but stopping deforestation is even more important. That will require alternatives of income for the communities here. One of them is tourism. Taking visitors by boat to see orangutans gives local people a way to earn a living from the forest without cutting it down. It gives them a reason to protect the trees and the animals. This is what I learned on this journey. If you want to save this forest and with it the orangutans, you have to work with the people who live here. The forest does not only protect great apes, but also rivers, villages, and livelihoods. Young trees take decades to grow. People here depend on the forest for clean water. Orangutans reproduce slowly. And once a forest is gone, it can't simply be replaced. Without real protection, the future of this entire ecosystem hangs in the balance.